Well, hello. This is Jeanine-Marie. I'm glad that you're here. Today, we're going to explore the topic of what it means to be fair and equitable in marriage, or basically in any relationship. But since marriage is a contract, let's go with that. If you're interested in this topic, please stick with me. Well, hello. I'm so glad that you stayed with me. We're going to talk about what is fair and what is equitable in marriage. We're using marriage. Marriage is a contract. And so when people go into marriage, they actually sign a document that becomes a legal document in the country or state that they're married in, right? So unless you're in a state like maybe the state of Texas, where two people can actually live together and call each other husband and wife and proclaim that they are married, and then therefore the state actually recognizes them as being married. So verbally, they do have a contract. They're known as a couple. They stay within the bounds of that relationship and they're considered to be married. So either way, it's a contract. Whatever is done on earth, remember, is done also in the heavenly realms, if we want to put it that way, or out into the ethers, if we want to put it that way. But, we spiritually, emotionally, and physically and financially combine our lives. And that doesn't mean that there aren't traditional relationships still these days where one person financially, brings in the funds to support the relationship and the other contributes in another way. I mean, it depends on how we value what we do and how our partner really looks at what we do and what the value of that is. So anyway, when we discuss fairness and equity in marriage, it's very, very important to every relationship to realize that each is unique. We're shaped by the background and the expectations of both partners. We've been raised differently and sometimes similar, but that partner is going to bring their concept of whatever it is they believe and how they've been raised as to what marriage is supposed to look like. And they usually get that from the demonstration in their own household that they grew up in. And for some, they've done a little bit of living and they've done a little bit of learning and maturing. And if you're working on yourself and you're putting your best foot forward in life and you're recognizing that your emotions need a little bit of work because maybe you were traumatized while you were being raised as a child. So remember, if you don't do that work, you're going to bring that trauma into that relationship and you'll end up working it out in that relationship. Or you'll find yourself getting out of that relationship. If you've done the work on yourself for that particular trauma, life is going to be a little bit easier. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy breezy. With every single life, a little bit of rain falls, right? So when we bring two lives together, we can expect some rain to fall. And how we have dealt with growing up from the inside out and how we've matured in our own lifespan, in our own relationship with ourselves, with our God, with, our spirituality. Depending on how we've worked that through, maybe the rain will be a little bit of a trickle, maybe just a little spray, but sometimes the rain is going to be a big storm, because everything that's inside of us that has happened, that we've accumulated over time, it's like it's welling up with a dam that is separating ourselves from another person when we get into that marital contract. And sometimes, if it's really fresh and if it's really raw, it's ready to come to the surface, or there have been other experiences in relationship that are going to define the new one, and we start to relate the two together, and they're not good experiences. They're difficult because we don't grow through the easy things. We grow through the hard things, and that's just the reality. So depending on how we've dealt with it, that is going to determine what's going to happen with that dam that's inside of us, and whether or not something's going to trigger an overflow and a complete flood, okay? So, it can come out really, really difficult and splash all over and hit everything that's in its wake, or it can come out very easily if you've decided to partner in communication. So, number one, fairness typically implies that both individuals contribute to the benefit from the relationship equally. So it doesn't really necessarily mean monetarily, but equally means that each has a role in helping the relationship succeed and helping the relationship be profitable, maybe financially. It doesn't matter if both work or don't. If they don't both work, okay, one can be the one that goes out to work and the other can be the supportive role. Either way, there's a role, in making that relationship a success. So, you need to really determine and sit down and communicate as to what really is fair to one another and what you really expect before you get into the marital contract. Okay, so what might be equal for one person may not be equal for the other. And maybe there will need to be a compromise somewhere in there. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to fairness, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach to being equitable, okay? Communication is the foundational role that establishes what is fair and what is equitable in any relationship, especially marriage. And partners should openly discuss their needs, their feelings, and their expectations to have a clear understanding of each other's perspectives. I can't even emphasize communication enough. And it might come out very rough in the beginning. There might be some difficult disagreements. And if you're hashing this out before you sign the contract, right? Those disagreements might help you determine, is this a relationship you want to continue in marriage or not? So, unfortunately, a lot of us go through the honeymoon stage before the honeymoon, and maybe between 3 to 6 months, we've been putting our best foot forward. We're just madly in love with the other person, and we're so excited to get on with life, and that's okay to be excited. But unfortunately, sometimes it leaves a lot of the really bare necessities regarding communication behind and left for being dealt with within the relationship and within that contractual marriage. So while you're opening the dialogue, the environment that you have should be based on trust and respect. That doesn't mean it always is based on trust and respect. Remember, we're in relationships with one another in order to deal with our stuff. It's not just the mating relationship, the ritual of creating family and creating children and creating a life and a household. Although we do that, those are the things that are the outer exterior. But what's going on the internal part, this is where I like to get to it. The internal parts of us is what is really bare and ready to be explored. And that's what's important, because we're here to grow and we need each other. Unfortunately, we do. We need each other to grow. And it's not always easy. It can be an easy growth or a difficult growth, depending on two things: who we choose as a partner and how open we are to having those discussions with our needs and our feelings and our expectations being exposed in an atmosphere of trust and respect, so that each individual can talk about their views and what they believe in and what they feel is fair as far as the relationship, the marriage, the contract, and what is equal between the two. What does life and marriage look like? What does this relationship look like? And it's not all just work. It's fun too. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a place where you explore and come to understand another person and come to understand yourself even better. And within the realm of that trust and respect, like being in a bubble and that openness to communication, something amazing happens. A miracle happens. Healing takes place. Love takes place. Love is the most healing thing that we could have between one another. Why would we not bring that? Especially during the times where we just can't agree to even disagree. It's just so hard. When we remember that love is the equalizer. Love is the one that's going to help us grow and heal more than anything else. And seeing that person in the bubble of love, if I want to put it that way, or within the context of love that God gives to us, because God is love, and that is pure love. It's unconditional. It's agape love. It's love that will love whether you're together or not, whether you part ways or not. Once you love someone the way God loves another person, you never stop loving them. Even if you decide that you want to part and your decisions that you made were maybe, I don't want to call it a mistake, maybe just a mishap. And you decide that it's not going to work. So within the context of godly love, you can continue to care about and love that person and respect that person for especially the healing that has been received from connecting with them and the experience. So fairness in marriage extends beyond just the emotional and the financial considerations. It encompasses all of the decision making. In an equitable partnership, both partners should have an equal say in significant decisions that affect their lives together, from a career move to family planning, to what happens with the money, to how things are divided. It goes beyond the roles, and it steps into what a marital couple's goals are. So when you agree on this shared responsibility, it ensures that both individuals feel like they're valued and their voices contribute to the couple's overarching goals. And that's so important, not just for the couple to succeed as a couple and to reach their marital goals, but it's really, really important to feel valued. Value is something that a lot of us didn't have when we were growing up. If you had a sense of value, you're a fortunate person. But many of us did not. We felt very undervalued and underappreciated. And when you take two people together, like attracts like, and they both feel undervalued, they both feel underappreciated, they really need, both of them really need that sense of validation. And if we don't give it to each other, how are we going to get it? Because within the context of that relationship, there's only two of you, right? So to be fair, to be equitable, we want to make sure that it will manifest in a way that gives each individual support, and it's mutual, it's balanced, it's a partnership, it's appreciated, right? And that means you've got to be willing to come to the table with whatever it is that you need to decide. Conflict is going to happen. And so conflict resolution is another aspect of where fairness is really key. When disagreements arise, it's essential for both partners to practice active listening and empathy. So important. Each partner should be feeling heard and validated within their concerns. They should approach conflicts with a mindset of fairness that encourages collaboration within their solutions and that consider both viewpoints so that they can take both of those viewpoints and come to an ultimate conclusion. This is the way we're going to do it because this is what strengthens both sides of our relationship. And together, it makes us a power couple, right? And it's exciting. It's exuberant to be a power couple, isn't it? And that doesn't mean that you're making trillions of dollars together. This is not just financial. Being a power couple means it's iron sharpens iron. It's when you come together in that marital partnership, you reflect the image of the Spirit of God in the individual. Iron always sharpens iron. So you come together with your sword, right? And you bring those swords together, not to stab each other, but to strengthen each other. And you sharpen each other. And a power couple will always have the other rise above all of their limitations. They'll always want that for the other person. And when you want that for each other and it comes from your partner, it's like you're constantly creating this beautiful cycle of empowering one another, right? So, I think there's a tendency when we talk about what is fair and equitable and what works in marriage, we want to talk about financial things. And certainly that is a part of fairness. It's a part of being equitable. It's a part of collaborating and establishing your financial goals and the responsibilities each partner is going to fill and bring to the table in that partnership. And again, it works exactly the same. If you sharpen each other within those roles and understanding the role of your partner and understanding what your part is in that role, you're going to be that power couple that actually iron sharpens iron, and you cannot help but succeed. And, I just can't emphasize two people being on the same page, working together, knowing that there are going to be disagreements, but coming back to the table, always coming back to negotiations, right? And saying, okay, maybe I was wrong in this part, but I can't give up that part. And negotiate like your two business partners, because technically you are. Financially, you are. creating a life together, you are. And if you're going to create a family together, you're definitely business partners, your life partners, your love partners, and then you're going to be family partners in raising your children. So, I can't even emphasize again enough the art of communication. And if you don't do anything in life let me put it this way. If you want to do something in your life that will absolutely be a benefit to every aspect of your life, take courses and classes, read books on communication, and learn how to be an open communicator, an effective communicator, and someone who knows the art of the deal. Sorry to put that little pun in there, but I couldn't help it. I mean, it's like negotiating with another person is an art. And when you come together as a contractual partnership, you are making a deal, okay? It's like, let's sit down and talk this out, whether it's where you're going to have your children and raise them, whether it's how you're going to look for a property or a house to live in, how you're going to save your money, how you're going to save for retirement. I mean, the topics are endless. Marriage brings up so much stuff, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, so much stuff. But if you look at it as growth stuff, it's not as hard. When you look at it as an ambassador who is coming to meet the biggest partner that you have chosen, right? You chose this person. Ask yourself, why did you choose that other person? That is a partner in your life. Do you want to empower that partner? Do you want to give them the things that they need, the tools emotionally, not just physically and mentally, but emotionally? You want to give them the tools to heal, to become stronger. We never, ever, ever succeed by punching each other down. And I don't mean that physically, but unfortunately that does happen sometimes with some people. But you can't press someone down and empower them at the same time. It doesn't work. You need to learn how to communicate in a way that not only expresses yourself empathetically, but also empowers the other. We want to be strong, and yeah, it is an art. So this is my advice. Take it or leave it. If you're looking into marriage, if you want to make that contract, if you've already done the contract and you're struggling with it, or maybe you just want to listen to it because you enjoy the topic, okay? Think about this. Take some courses or classes or get a coach and learn how to communicate. Learn how to perfect the art of understanding the other's position. You don't always have to have your way. And unfortunately, my love, it's not always going to go that way. So you might as well just admit to yourself, this could not turn out the way I want it to be, but it might turn out the way we want it to be. And if you can come to a really, really great compromise that empowers you both, then you are already successful. So learn how to communicate. Learn how to prefer the other over yourself, and learn how to construct a deal in a contract of marriage in a way that's going to make you both successful together. I mean, your partner's success is yours, right? And your success is theirs, right? So when that marriage or that contract is broken and they are separated through divorce or whatever legal means, they're going to look at what's fair and what's equitable, and someone else is going to decide for you what is fair for you and what is equality for you. Do you really want that to happen? I mean, ask yourself, where's the learning in that? Because it's my experience through divorce. The only thing I learned is it really hurts. Separating that which God has joined together is a very difficult thing. And sometimes we have joined it together and it's like, uh-oh, this just really isn't working out. It makes no difference under what circumstances you are separating a marriage, whether you want to be in it or whether you do not, whether it's a mutual decision, whether you are okay with it or not. It always is going to have an aspect of hurting. In the spiritual realm, you're severing a soul tie. Think about that. Soul connected to soul. When you get to the point where your souls are actually connected with one another, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, under God, my goodness, and you sever that, whether, again, it's a good decision for you or not, it is going to have some pain associated with it. So while you're going into it, while you're looking for it, while you're considering it, consider this. Think long and hard. Do the negotiation first. Learn how to communicate and learn what empathy is and how to extend empathy for another person before you get to a point where you're separating two souls and hurting from severing a soul tie. Anyway, I hope that you learned something from this. I am actually losing my voice. I've been kind of struggling with it for a couple of weeks now. Not sure what that's about, but I need to end now and just tell you that I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so glad that you took the time to listen to me. And if you have some input, if you have some experience that you want to add, by all means, I would love to hear from you. And until the next time, I am so loving you from here, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.